Welcome to Marketing Tales with Chris Raposo, a podcast created to spotlight and highlight marketers, tell their stories, and share their knowledge with those interested in all things marketing. If you're interested in more than just the cut and dry strategies and tactics and want to learn more about the human side of his guests and how they got to where they are today, then this show is for you.
Video production, some people may think big production, right? Big film crew, which can seem overwhelming to some businesses. Can you suggest some simple yet effective types of video that can help market businesses and how they can start?
Totally. So here's one thing I've learned in the last 20 years of owning my agency is many companies, they think we have to talk about ourselves. So we need like an about us video, right? We need to tell our story and talk about ourselves, how long we've been in business and all that. And that is great. I think there's a time and a place for those types of videos. But to me, there's so many other types of video content that companies can create. But a lot of times they don't know, right? They're like, well, I'll talk about myself, my products, my services, my history. What else can I talk about, right? And it's like, no, put yourself in your customer's shoes. What do they want to know? So let me give you kind of three answers to your question about like what types of content. Frequently asked questions, right? Think of your 10, 20, whatever most asked questions, create short videos for that. Secondly is elephants. Every industry has a different, elephants in the room. So create video content about those elephants, right? So as you're talking to your audience, hey audience, I know you're maybe thinking about how much does this cost? Let me answer that for you. And then you kind of go into that. That builds trust. It shows expertise. And sometimes it can even qualify that customer, right? So if you say, hey, our product might cost between X and Y, but they're like way down here, they weren't probably going to buy from you anyway. And then lastly is unicorns. Okay, so unicorns are those items of your blogs, your articles, your social media posts that outperform the others. So double down on that. Create content on your unicorns because it's already performing well. Think about different ways to kind of spin or a different aspect of that piece of content that you can create video content for.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Marketing Tales Show with Chris Raposo. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Jeff Long, the owner of True Focus Media. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk more about marketing and lots of other fun topics.
Jeff, I did a little bit of research on you, like I always do on my guests, and I saw that you have a degree from Faith Baptist Bible College, and you are the owner of True Focus Media. Tell us a little bit about your background, your education, and your company.
Yeah, a great question. I love that. So, like a lot of people, I, in high school especially, had no idea what I wanted to do when I grew up. Even in college, I didn't know. Like it took me several years post college to really figure that out. And so I didn't know any marketers. I didn't know any business people, entrepreneur. I just didn't know, right? I felt like I grew up in the Stone Ages or something. My dad was one of the professors at this Bible college, and it just kind of made sense to go there. It wasn't this big decision. It was just like, yeah, let's do that. I got a break on tuition, which always helped. But I really got an excellent education. I got over my fear of public speaking, which was critical to my success moving forward, made lifelong friends. I mean, there were a lot of benefits. And then, a couple years, 2 years after graduating, I started this marketing agency with two other friends. And even that was kind of a God moment, I call it, where he kind of made things very clear, like, oh, that's what I should do. But the funny thing is, Chris, once I kind of discovered that I was an entrepreneur, that I was creative in that way, it was like this faucet of creativity just flow. I mean, it was insane. I would stay up all hours of the night, like writing these different business ideas and strategies. And it was like, where is this coming from? Like, I didn't know I had this, right? So it was a very interesting and kind of cool background of when I started my company.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you listen to the calling there and that little nudge from God, to get you on the right way. And then if you're on the right path, that, like you said, it opens a the pathway. It opens the doors, and sometimes doors will remain locked if it's not for you. So that's really cool, man. Let's talk a little bit more about your video marketing journey. So can you explain your journey, how you got into video marketing and how you've seen it evolve over the years?
Yeah, yeah. So when we first, and so I started the company with two business partners. After several years, they both went different directions, and so I was kind of the owner, and then I brought some people on board, either full time or part time. So right now I have two full timers and a couple contractor, part time people. So we started just as a video marketing agency. And this, I think, from what I remember, was before YouTube, or maybe I think YouTube was '08, if I can remember. So we started in 2003, and video was still kind of a novelty back then, right? Which again, I feel super old saying that, but so that was a unique thing we had that not a lot of people did. And but what we did that was successful was we listened to our clients' problems. We looked for solutions, right? So even though we were going the direction of video, and my business partners had a lot more experience in video, but thankfully I was an avid learner, researcher, experimenter. Like I kind of quickly got up to speed in the video production world. But we would hear these things from companies about like their website needing to be redone or rebuilt or fixed or whatever. So we actually added web design and development to our services, right? So that's kind of half of our company is the video marketing and then the website design development. So that's what I always tell people is like, just listen to people, hear what their needs are. Maybe you can add another service, or maybe you need to bring somebody else into that, a partner or another expert, that you can be that referral source, and everybody wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Who are your clients? You have a specific audience, a specific niche?
Yeah, so probably for the first, let's say 15 or so years, probably 14 years, it was more general, right? It was, doctors and insurance and this and that, and that was great. But I got to a point where I wanted to kind of focus in a certain industry. So manufacturing is kind of our go-to industry. And that can look like a lot of things. So, we have some more industrial type companies, we have more manufacturing, even some construction. So it's kind of in the hands-on world. They're making cool stuff. They're good people, and sometimes some companies are a little behind the times as far as their marketing, their video marketing, and some of those things. So we can come in and really serve them well.
Okay, and let's say one more question about your customers. Do you serve nationwide, or do you stay locally?
Nationwide, yeah, yep.
Awesome.
And we'll talk about something here sometime today or whatever about how we as a video production company can do that either locally in person, or we can do it virtually online. There's kind of this both and. It's not an either or. So
Okay.
I'll drop that little clue there for later.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Let's stay in digital marketing then. What, in your opinion, sets video marketing apart from other forms of digital marketing, and how does it enhance a brand's storytelling capabilities?
Yeah. So to me, it does everything, right? And yeah, I'm the video guy, so I'm going to say that. But I always tell people that, as far as like content marketing, so content is key, but I think video is king, right? Because it demonstrates your products, it showcases your expertise, tells your story. I mean, it helps your SEO. It does so many things. And so to me, it's like, why aren't you doing more videos? And we'll talk about some of the barriers to entry and some of those things, which I totally understand. But it just does a lot of the things that people are trying to do. So people are, maybe their hair's on fire. Hey, we've got to do SEO. We've got to do SEO focused blogs. We've got to do social media. We've got to do this and this. And a lot of times I'm like, well, what if we focus that in? We have a video foundation, and we can still do a lot of those things, but we start with video. Because I mean, the statistics show, more people would watch video than read an article. I mean, there's tons of stats that we can talk about. I think it's 72% of people fully do their research online, including and preferring watching videos before they reach out to a salesperson or make a buying decision there. So, video is king.
Yeah, we have to assume by the time people come to our website and request a demo, they'll basically know everything about us, and they've done a research and they've reviewed any of the testimonials out there about us. That's why they came to us. Now, video production, some people may think big production, right? Big film crew, which can seem overwhelming to some businesses. Can you suggest some simple yet effective types of video that can help market businesses and how they can start?
Totally, totally. So here's one thing I've learned in the last 20 years of owning my agency is many companies, and maybe this is kind of the old school model, they think we have to talk about ourselves. So we need like an about us video, right? We need to tell our story and talk about ourselves, how long we've been in business and all that. And that is great. I think there's a time and a place for those types of videos. But to me, there's so many other types of video content that companies can create. But a lot of times they don't know, right? They're like, well, I'll talk about myself, my products, my services, my history. What else can I talk about, right? And it's like, no, put yourself in your customers' shoes. What do they want to know, right? So what common questions are they asking? So let me give you kind of three answers to your question about like what types of content. Frequently asked questions, right? Think of your 10, 20, whatever most asked questions. Create short videos for that. Google loves that. It's high in SEO. Social media loves that. So put it on, on your social media platforms. Put on your website, YouTube, everywhere, and that will, that is kind of a high ROI, but an easier type of video to make, right? Secondly, is elephants. Okay, so I always talk about elephants. Is typically your customer has what we call an elephant in the room that's keeping them from making a buying decision. So maybe they're like, oh, Jeff, how much is this going to cost? Or how long is this going to take? Or whatever that might be. Every industry has a different, elephants in the room. So create video content about those elephants, right? So as you're talking to your audience, hey, audience, I know you're maybe thinking about how much does this cost or blah, blah, blah. Let me answer that for you. And then you kind of go into that. That builds trust. It shows expertise. And sometimes it can even qualify that customer, right? So if you say, hey, our product might cost between X and Y, but they're like way down here, they weren't probably going to buy from you anyway. So that's the elephant strategy. What you think about that?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. It's good to have that transparency on your website, right? Because sometimes, let's say even if you go to a restaurant and you want to see what they serve there and there are no prices next to it, you kind of like, well, what kind of a bill am I going to get hit with when I go there with my date, right? Can I afford it? Am I going to embarrass myself? So you want to be upfront with that, and then as you build that trust, and then people come to you, and like you said, I may not be that right customer for that particular place, and then I'll just don't waste my time, and you don't waste your time on me.
Right, right. And let me give you the third kind of answer to your original question about different types of content and what can you do. So we talked about FAQs, elephants, and then lastly is unicorns. Okay, so unicorns are those items of your blogs, your articles, your social media posts that outperform the others, right? So they're like the 20% of your best performing content, and maybe it's giving you the 80% of the results. So double down on that. So if you have content that is just like killing it, create videos on that blog or create a separate video on that first video. So maybe if you're talking about like the three benefits of this, maybe talk about the opposite side, the negative, 3 reasons why you shouldn't do this or whatever. But anyway, create content on your unicorns because it's already performing well. Think about different ways to kind of spin or a different aspect of that piece of content that you can create video content for.
Yeah, that's super smart, super relevant for me, especially. I'm in Google Analytics. I always see where my blog posts are, what are the top performers, how can I get more out of these blog posts by repurposing them and then doing a video about them. That's pretty smart, actually. I like that idea. I'm going to implement it.
Sure. And you could, let's say you have a blog post that's like the top 10 reasons for this, whatever. You could create short, 10 short videos on each topic, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like you've already created the content, just make simple videos and boom, you're done. So a
Yeah,
lot of times I think people think it's more complicated than it needs to be.
that's exactly what I started doing. I have one blog post that's like the 10 must-have CMS features any higher ed website should have. And then did a little snippet every like YouTube Shorts, put them on YouTube Shorts. they get good reach, get our brand out there. It's awesome. Let's stay on YouTube with platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and each have unique video content cultures or the way they, are digested, I would say. How can marketers tailor their video strategy to suit different platforms?
Yeah, I like this question, and to me, it's a tough question because I'll give you two answers, right? So the professional marketer, works with big companies or whatever. Like technically, you should customize your content for each platform because, like you said, they have different audiences, purposes, algorithms, all that. But on the other side of the coin, I tell people like, you know what, just get started. Like don't worry if you're not doing, the video right for TikTok because it works on shorts or like most people just need to create more content so that they can get more analytical feedback and then they can customize. I think that's kind of putting the cart before the horse if you try to like make all this different content for different platforms.
Yeah.
A lot of people, if you're a solopreneur or a small company or education institution, you're going to be, I don't know, you're going to be spinning your wheels. So that's my recommendation is first just start creating content, learn from it, and then adjust for each platform.
Yeah, and it helps from people from getting overwhelmed. If it's too big of a lift at the beginning, they may just give up. They say, "Hey, I can't do
Totally.
this." So I'm a solo marketer at my company. I do the same thing. I have one platform, LinkedIn, that I focus on, and then I'll just use that content that I have and I'll distribute it on Facebook and LinkedIn. But my main audience is on LinkedIn. So I'll just have, if I have a video, I'll just put it on the other platform, see, what sticks. But I know I created for that particular platform because I can only do so many things.
Right.
You know.
And you probably know, most companies or whatever, like they have a primary platform, right? So LinkedIn for a lot of people makes sense. For others it is YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So yeah, kind of lean into where your ideal customer audience whatever is, and then everything else might be secondary. So
Yeah,
that's brilliant what you're doing.
yeah. Thank you very much. So let's just briefly touch on that. I know we weren't sure about this question, but could you explain how video marketing can be optimized for mobile users and what key considerations should marketers take into account? Because I don't know the statistics, but they're like 60-70% of people look at videos on their phone on the go, whether they're commuting in a bus or in a train or in a plane or wherever they are, right? They don't necessarily sit in front of the computer. Is there anything they need to do differently? Or do you think that these platforms already automatically optimize those videos for mobile?
Yeah, great question. I think anymore, like you said with the stats, assume people are watching this mostly on mobile. Just
Mhm.
assume that, and you can look at your analytics, whether it's in YouTube or Google or some other platforms that have those specific analytics. But then practically make your text more um, bigger, bolder, easier to read. Right. So sometimes when we're editing, we'll like shrink the video box in our video editor to kind of replicate a phone and then be like, oh man, that's like really small.
Yeah.
So that's one tip. Another tip is make sure your captions are correct. I know in certain industries and in languages and different things, like auto captions just don't do it yet perfectly. It might be like 80% or 90, but like, so a lot of people are almost reading your video as they're listening or watching. So captions are key these days, almost a must. They are a must have.
Yeah, they're a must-have to comply with accessibility guidelines for sure. And it's a little bit more work, but it is the right thing to do. So when I do videos, I don't even think about putting a video up without captions anymore. It has to have captions for us. For me personally too, with those short snippets that I put on LinkedIn for the recaps of our talks, of our podcast, there's always going to be captions on there, just to make it accessible for everyone so everyone can consume it. And I personally enjoy it when I put my daughter down at night. I've watched a video on my phone while I rock her to sleep, and I can't have it loud, so I'll just read what's going on there.
I'm the same way. Yep. I have YouTube on more often than not. A lot of it's just for just general pleasure or whatever, but a lot of it's business stuff. I'm always trying to learn and grow and whatever. So I'm a big fan of YouTube, listening at like 1.5 speed. And yeah, yep.
All right, cool, man. What are some effective ways to incorporate video marketing into a business overall content marketing strategy?
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was teasing earlier is you know, as an entrepreneur, that's kind of my one of my skill sets. I always look for opportunities. And so like I mentioned before, the old school model with video was, hey, we need to have highly professional about us video, and that's going to do the trick, right? And again, those are great. But the other side of the coin is, like we talked about, what content can you create? What does your customer want to know? What problems are they trying to solve? And all those things. And you need to create content for that. So uh, I developed this strategy called video value bombs, and I'll kind of give you the strategy here, right? So you and the listeners can kind of glean from it. So obviously we all see, you know, these short videos on YouTube or LinkedIn or TikTok, whatever. Those are great. But I've just found that not many companies have a strategy for those. They might stumble across them, they might do some things. So we bring a strategy. So it's a 3-step process, video value bombs. One is we have a content roadmap. Like, because content is king, and content is key and video is king, what do we need to talk about on it like a 12-month basis? So we lay out this strategy, this roadmap, and then, you know, I customize it for each company. Of course, it's not just a blanket thing. And so now we can kind of go through the buyer's journey and figure out, what do we need to talk about. We can talk to salespeople if there's sales reps, or we can talk about whoever we need to talk to figure out what that is. If it's the CEO or marketing or sales, whatever, bring the key stakeholders in. Or if it's just a solopreneur person, right? Like they might kind of know what points in the sales process need to be talked about. And then we can create content to kind of replicate that, right? So now you have an automated 24/7 sales video process working for you and for your company or institution or whatever that might be. So that's the first of the 3 steps is the content roadmap.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, definitely. That's good to have that vision, you know, or that goal, so you can aim towards it and you don't get lost on the way. As well as, if things make it a little bit difficult, right? If you don't have a goal in mind, an end goal in mind, you may, you know, just put it to the side and never get to it or never finish it.
Right.
It's always good to have that goal that you can aim towards in order to achieve your business objectives. So it's really cool that you guys do that and help people, you know, accomplish their mission.
Yeah. And so we look at things like we've already talked about today, like the elephants in the room, the unicorn principle, the FAQ. You know, we have certain kind of tricks to make content brainstorming easier. You know,
Yeah.
so it's not that we just sit in this room and we're like, all right, what are we going to talk about? You know, and you know, with AI and other tools these days, that's becoming easier and easier. So there's just a way to make the content brainstorming process easier.
Yeah, you just talked about AI, so there's a big shift there coming, if it's not already here. Can you share some of your predictions for the future of video marketing, and what trends should marketers be prepared for in the coming years?
Yeah. I mean, I'm no AI expert, but I've done a lot of, you know, research and looking into it and playing around with different things. I mean, it's going to be a game changer, right? I mean, we all know that. But so I think the people that will continually learn and grow and be on the forefront of that, be leaders in the space, whatever that space is, leaders in education or sales or marketing or whatever, they're going to be the ones to use AI and benefit from it, versus the people that are just kind of going about their day-to-day life, not really thinking about much. They're going to be the ones really negatively impacted by AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Then they wake up one day and then it's no longer an option. It's a necessity. In
Right.
order to move ahead, you know, you want to be ahead of the ball game. And we as marketers or PR professionals, we know that it's ingrained in us when we started in this occupation, in this industry. So we're ahead of it. But some people, you know, they may not care right now, and they may have a wake up call in a couple of years. So I encourage everybody to get into it, dig into it, and just play around with it. Nobody's an expert yet, so is this your
Right.
chance? This is your chance.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's going to change, right? There's going to be new versions and new this and new that, and so it's like anything. It's always changing, and so there's some excitement there, and there's some fear with many people, and yeah, so we'll just figure it out and adapt. You know.
exactly, exactly.
Um,
You mentioned that you've been doing this for since about 2003 it was 20
yeah,
years.
yeah,
Yeah. So
20 years, which is crazy.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
What's one important lesson that you have learned over the course of your video marketing career that you can share with the audience?
Yeah. Let me get back to your previous question because I gave you the first kind of step of the video value bombs process. Let me do the other two real quick if you
Okay.
don't mind. So, we're talking about the content roadmap, right? So for the listener here, think about a 3 month, 6 month, 12-month process, a roadmap of the content that you can create from a video perspective. Number two is content multiplication, right? So once you create these videos, what other pieces of content that can you create? So obviously articles and little quote graphics and different things like that. Again, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just taking that material and multiplying it. And then the third step is distribution. So we talked a little bit about that. Like, where do you put these videos, right? So of course, social media, of course, your website and YouTube and things like that. I have a list of I think we're up to 42 different places to post and repost these videos every month. Like one of them, for example, is your email signature line, right? Most people send out dozens of emails a day or an hour or whatever that might be. Put a little blurb in your email like, hey, check out our latest video value bomb or whatever that might be. And then
Nice.
that can link to your video page either on your website or YouTube or whatever. So be thinking about where is my ideal audience, customer, client, whatever that is,
Yeah.
and then start there, but then also think outside of normal things. Are there any publications that are looking for content to highlight? Any news outlets? Think really outside the box, and then kind of hone it in with where do we want to start, and maybe where can we grow this in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, I love earned media, so I'm all about that. And I do not utilize my email signature enough, so I should really
Right?
start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to cut a little bit here, so we'll just do number 9 again, okay?
Sure.
So you've been doing this for about 20 years now. You said you started in 2003. So what is one important lesson that you have learned over the course of your video marketing career that you can share with the audience?
Yeah, it's keep experimenting, right? Keep trying new things. I think the people and companies and institutions that think any type of marketing is like a one-time deal. Like if this doesn't work, then it must be a failure, right? Like if this video doesn't perform, if this one video doesn't perform, then all video is pointless. That's flushing money. No, like it's a strategy. You learn and grow. Just you mentioned analytics, right? You study the data. What does it say? Um, so the short answer is keep experimenting, and then that's kind of the long version of that. Along with analytics, again, a lot of people think with video, one video, then we'll test it out, we'll see it. Anymore, you have to have a bunch, right? So that's where it's like, hey, give it 6 months of like regular content to see what performs, and then you can make an assessment. So that's my short and long answer.
Yeah, it's just like SEO, it's not a short game, it's a long game. You have to be patient with it and experiment and see where it goes. It may take like you said, a couple of months for a video to take off. You never know who's going to pick it up and
Right.
run with it. So, talking about experimenting, talking about educating yourself, learning, constantly growing. What are 2 books or podcasts or video influences do you recommend anyone should check out to becoming a better marketer?
Yeah, this was really hard. I'll be honest when you sent me this question because I'm like, man, I love podcasts, I love audiobooks and books and video stuff. So it was like, okay. And so I've found in my own journey, I've gone from 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 hearing more tactics and strategies to almost doing more mindset stuff. So I won't go on the mindset stuff because I mean that's a whole different road, which I'm happy to talk about. But to answer your question, I did finally narrow it down to 2 books. One of them is Who Not How by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan.
Okay.
And because the reason for that, have you read that book, by the way, or
I have not,
heard of
never.
it? Yeah. So it's I think all entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, businesses, institutions, we do things really well, but there's gaps. But sometimes we tell ourselves, hey, I have to do it all. But there's a who that can do that better. It's not how can I do this, it's who can do this.
Mhm.
And so this book kind of looks at different companies that have scaled, and a lot of times it's because they found certain who's that can do this versus how they can do it internally.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's just I'm an audiobook guy. I've listened to that at least twice, if not three times in the last. Well, I think it was last January. I listened to it back to back because it was
Wow.
so good. I was taking so many notes.
Okay.
So Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And then secondly is They Ask You Answer by
Okay.
Marcus Sheridan. And he's big in the video marketing space. And he really talks about being customer centric and listening to what your audience wants to know and answering those questions or giving them content that helps them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. I really like the recommendation of Who Not How, which brings me. I have an example of that. I'm in charge of the website as well at our company, but I also have a sales engineer. He's a developer, web developer, who's helps me out a lot with the website and stuff. So we recently partnered with an SEO company to do a site audit, and it gave me a list of things to fix. And I tried to go in there and fix it. It would have taken me hours to fix this stuff. And I was like, this guy is technical. He goes in there, he's just click, 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 and it's done. And it would have taken me 20 hours. It takes him maybe 5 hours. So even though sometimes you feel like you need to do it all, there's probably somebody there who can do it better, more efficiently. And then you're able to, care about other stuff and take care of other things, bit more big picture things to get the needle moving.
Right. And I've even taken that principle to my personal life and family life and things, right? Like if the goal is for me is to be more with my family, more present, who are the who's that can do the things I really don't like to do? It's okay if somebody, fixes this or mows my lawn or does this or whatever. And obviously there's a money component, money's not endless. So you have to pick and choose what's important. But yeah, there's people that can. I had a buddy come over and fix my fence because one of the kids broke it, or that would have taken me hours, right? And he did it in 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes. So
Yeah, exactly. Your experts, you gotta use them. It's what they're there for. As we wrap up the episode, Jeff, how can people get in touch with you to learn more about you or True Focus Media?
yeah, you can go to my website, truefocusmedia.com. See all of our kind of high quality video stuff, our video value bombs stuff, our web development stuff, all that good stuff. Or LinkedIn. Maybe in the show notes, you can put my LinkedIn link there. I try to be active on LinkedIn, both posting my own video value bombs as well as just commenting on good people like yourself, Chris, as well as others that are kind of in the community and help each other out.
Yeah, I really like your videos on LinkedIn, so I always follow and I recommend everybody else to follow you as well, Jeff. All right, Jeff, thank you so much. That concludes the episode. Thank you for being a part of the Marketing Tales show today.
Thanks so much. I really appreciated it. Oh, and I just wanted to say, because you have a tie to education, both my parents are teachers, lifelong educators. So I look at marketing primarily as how can we teach something to show our expertise, to gain trust, and to kind of give back and help the other person. So that's a little free marketing tip there I'll throw in at the end.
Yeah, it's always better to give than to get.
Yeah.
You got it. Thank you, Jeff. Take care now.
Thanks so much.